Please be seated, everyone.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Hitanshi,
And I am Dhruv.
and on behalf of Indian Institute of Management Shillong, it is our distinct pleasure to welcome you all to the 8th edition of Business Leadership Summit. This two-day summit running across November 29 to 30th is guided by the potent theme, the India Advantage, growing business, green economy, and global influence. We're excited to engage with over 30 speakers and 2,000 plus attendees for the next 2 days.
To commence this grand event, we adhere to the tradition of IIM Shillong by performing the lighting of the lamp, symbolizing the triumph of knowledge and light. I kindly request our esteemed guests, Dr. Michael Devabrata Patra, Sri Venkat Nageshwar Chalasani, Sri Kaushik Mitra, Sri Atul Kulkarni, and our beloved Director in Charge, Professor Nalini Prabha Tripathi ma'am, to join us on stage for a ceremonial lighting of the lamp. We request our guests to kindly take their seats on the stage.
Thank you, everyone. With that, let's commence the inaugural session. We welcome Professor Nalini Prabha Tripathi, Director in Charge of IIM Shillong, to deliver the welcome address. Ma'am brings with her an illustrious academic and professional journey spanning over 28 years across teaching, research, corporate engagement, and consultancy. Prior to joining IIM Shillong, she was an associate professor in finance and accounting at the Indian Institute of Management, Indore. She earned her D.Litt degree in management from Utkal University. She was awarded a UGC fellowship for full-time study and postdoctoral research award in management. She's a Fulbright scholar who has visited the US and has received advanced research training in Indian Institute of Management, Calcutta. Professor Tripathi is a prolific researcher, having published over 100 research papers and authored 9 books. Professor Tripathi has been honored with several prestigious awards as well. Please help me in giving a very warm welcome to Professor Nalini Prabha Tripathi.
Good morning to everyone here. Distinguished Chief Guest, Sri Kaushik Mitra ji, Vice President, CFO, PepsiCo Company Limited. Esteemed Honorable Guest of Honor, Sri Chalasani ji, CEO, AMPI. Our revered guest, Honorable Dr. Michael Patra ji, former Deputy Governor, Reserve Bank of India, our Honorable Board Member, Sri Atul ji, respected industry leaders, my dear faculty members, officers, staffs, and my dear students. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome you all to this inaugural session on the Indian advantage, growing business, green economy, and global influence. There are the 3 pillars that makes the India advantage real. Before I highlight something about our Business Leader Summit, let me quickly give you a brief introduction about our institution. Our institute was established in 2007 by the Government of India, but we have started our PGP flagship MBA program in 2008 with the belief that management education must go beyond classrooms and case studies. It must connect with the people, communities, and the societies, and also meaningfully contribute to our national building. In line with this vision, we set our goals to equip our students or future leaders with the knowledge, skill, mindset required to flourish in a dynamic global business environment. Within a short span of 18 years, we have achieved several milestones in terms of our academic journey, in terms of our research excellence, in terms of our MDP program, Management Development Program, in terms of our certificate programs, in terms of our catering to the northeastern region, and also focused on the regional growth. Today, we have our student strength has been grown more than 20-fold. We started with 63 students in MBA program. Now it has been increased. The total strength of our institute is around 1200, including all the programs. Over the years, we have witnessed many changes, new programs, new collaborations, modern facilities, but what has not been changed today is our commitment to academic excellence, industry relevance, and nurturing ethical leaders. This year, we have achieved another milestone by launching the 5-year integrated program in management, alignment with the NEP 2020, to nurture our future leaders with a blend of liberal arts, management educations, and essential skills such as problem solving, critical thinking, and data-driven decision making. The IPM program offers multiple exit options, allowing students to earn recognized qualification upon completion of required credit. Once the student will complete the first year, they will get the certificate, and once 2 years, they will get the diploma degree. Once 3 years, they will be getting the BBA degree, and another 2 years is aligned with our PGP program, flagship program MBA. Now, today's topic is concerned the India advantage, growing business, green economy, and global influence. This topic is not new to us. This topic is aligned closely with our several core principles of our Chanakya's Arthashastra. So we are focusing more on the Indian knowledge system as per the National Education Policy 2020. The reason is that though these are the three pillars, the Chanakya emphasized that the treasury is the root of the king's power, require taxation, infrastructure, and promotion of trade. Chanakya advocated for optimal resources utilization and minimizing waste to enhance profitability and competitiveness. The Chanakya's principles focus on importance of building and maintaining roads, waterways, and trade routes. Today, we are talking about growing business and economic prosperity as a primary goal of our nation. Today, we are talking about successful business environment. Today, we are talking about improved physical and digital infrastructure to support business growth and global trade. Our first mandate is growth, but our goal is not just profit. It is profit with scale. The scale of our innovation is unmatched. The UPI alone processes nearly 18.4 billion transactions a month. Our service sector is growing phenomenal and hitting like 9.3% growth. We have reached with talent powerhouse. India is having 16% of the world's AI workforce, second only to the US. We can position to lead the global AI revolution. It is high time to use the AI and machine learning into our core process, from personalized marketing to predicting supply chain disruptions. It is high time to transform data into strategic insight and drive capital efficiency in a competitive environment. The second pillar, the green economy, that is our sustainable governance. Green economy aligned with Chanakya's concept of welfare and resources management. Chanakyas indicate that king's prosperity is tied up with people's well-being and the environment. Chanakya's focus on happiness of the people connected with the happiness of the king. Our green economy means promoting clean air, water, and sustainable livelihood, directly linked to long-term welfare and happiness of citizens. Chanakya's advised long-term strategic thinking over short-term gains. A green economy is a long-term strategy. We are focusing on protecting planet and national well-being. We know that green economy is the single largest investment opportunity of our next generation. India understood that focus of business lies in the future of ESG. India's commitment to net zero goals creates opportunities in renewable energy sector, battery storage, and smart grid management. If you look at today, India is a global leader in solar and is aggressively investing in storage solution and the smart grid. India achieved a historic milestones where renewables met 51.5% of the total electricity demand, and our non-fossil fuel capacity crossed 51% for the first time. Our economy is leading the world in sustainable development actions. But the challenge is, how do you manage the supply chain logistics for millions of solar panels? How do you innovate financial models to scale decentralized social solutions in rural areas, ensuring access and affordability? Now we have to think, how can a manufacturing sector achieve net zero water level consumptions? Now we have to build the battery recycling logistic for our EV revolution. We must view sustainability as an operational risk that we have to solve it together. Now it is high time that our future leaders understand and reporting non-financial value. The circular economy is mandate, the blue economy is mandate. We must move beyond simple recycling. The third pillar is the global influence, the strategic diplomacy. The global influence aligned with Chanakya's mandala theory and the principles of strategic diplomacy. Chanakya said, a state must be internally strong and prepared for all contingencies. The growing business and green economy is talking about the strategy of internal strengthening, achieving economic stability and resource security, which is the prerequisite for exercising global influence. Let me tell you that India is no longer emerging. We have emerged. We are the world's third largest economy by purchasing power, fast growing major economy in the world. We will be the second largest economy on the planet by 2047. This is not ambition, which I am talking about. This is an arithmetic. In the global business landscape, India is no longer viewed as merely a market, it is viewed as a model. India is positioned to become a factory and a brain center for the world. My dear students, step into the complexity of the market, use your skills, and define the next path forward. Lead with integrity, use your influence, not to just maximize profit, but to maximize positive impact on society and the planet. When you walk across the 2 years, you will be the ambassador of the Indian advantage. Thank you. Wish you successful Business Leadership Summit. Once again, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for those inspiring words of wisdom and for officially commencing the Business Leadership Summit 2025. As the 7th IIM established in the country, IIM Shillong remains committed to shape leaders who are professionally competent and socially conscious.
Now we are delighted to welcome an honored member of our own Board of Governors to address the gathering. Shri Atul Kulkarni is a distinguished professional with a multifaceted career spanning maritime consulting, governance, youth development, and social initiatives. He currently serves as Senior Advisory at MTBS, a leading global maritime consulting firm. He is also the chairman of the Amazing Namaste Foundation and the vice president of the Yachting Associations of India. In addition to serving to the board of the governors of IIM Shillong, he has helped leadership and advisory roles in organizations such as the Indian Ports Association, Eurasia Special Technologies, and the Students' Experience in Interstate Living Trust. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Shri Atul Kulkarni.
Good morning, Kublai. As I was introduced, I am into the maritime profession. And the biggest challenge every maritime professional has is to ensure their timeline. And I have the timeline that is given to me, which says that we have already overshooted the initial timeline. And we are here to listen to the distinguished guests and industry luminaries. So I'm not going to take much of your time. Thank you very much for inviting me here, the chairperson, Student Affairs. The couple of pointers only I will mention here. We are talking about India advantage, and Madam said that it is now no more emerging. That's really what the situation is. We are talking about India's global influence, and I think we are just not talking about our own influence, but India championing the cause of the global south. What we did during G20 is something that the world has acknowledged, and world realized that some kind of disruption like this was required, and India took that initiative, India championed that cause, and this is what we are capable of. To talk about numbers, I think the statistics and the numbers will speak probably every single element of industry, economy. We can say that we are today at that position, whether number 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5, because people like you, the aspirational India that we all talk about, is something that is driving this entire initiative. So growth, definitely it will happen. Opportunities, galore. We are talking about green, blue, circular, whatever economy that you want to refer to. This country has practiced it for centuries. There is no other place in the world which has this kind of diversity. Take the region between the Hindu Kush mountains to the Malacca state, and that too more specifically the northeast. Probably there is no other part of the world which can give you an opportunity to try any model. Whether it is an economic model, social model, any model that you talk about, it has been tried here. And if you still want to test it once more again for its sustainability, its applicability in the changed context, this is the region where it has to be tested, and therefore I think we have the great opportunity, and we will make it sure that the humanity benefits from all the experiments that we are carrying out here, the leadership that we are providing in all streams of society, economy, and any other aspect. It is no coincidence that the world's 50% of container trade moves from the ocean. Third of world's oil movement happens through the ocean, which is named after great nation, Indian Ocean. It is not a mere coincidence. We have a role to play, and every single individual in this country is today looking at that role at the global platform. We are not just talking about opportunities for our youngsters in the domestic market. We are talking about being there at the global platform. Recently, we had the India Maritime Week, where countries from, the representatives from more than 100 countries participated. So it's not just only the Solar Alliance that India is driving. It is even the maritime domain where India is now taking the leadership position. We are talking about all kinds of technologies that are available. And if we can successfully achieve our moon mission and other astronomical feats at much cheaper price, and that too at the first attempt, that means we have something in it which we all should take pride and look into that, what it is. So I would urge all of you to please understand what this country is offering to you, what this society is offering to you, and make sure that we take this journey forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for your powerful words. They indeed inspire us to strive for greater heights. Let's now take the event forward and introduce our distinguished guest of honor for the day. Dr. Michael Patra served as a Deputy Governor of the RBI during 2020 to 2025. He's an alumnus of Utkal University, Bhubaneswar, PhD in Economics from the Indian Institute of Technology, Bombay, and has completed his postdoctoral research from Harvard University in the US. He is a founding member of the Monetary Policy Committee of the RBI, which is entrusted with monetary policy decision making in India. Dr. Patra has also worked in the International Monetary Fund as senior advisor. He has served in a number of organizations in leadership roles, such as chairman of the board of directors of the Deposit Insurance and Credit Guarantee Corporation, member of the board of directors of NABARD and the Exim Bank. I humbly request Dr. Patra to address the gathering.
Enjoy the Director, Professor Nalini Prabha Tripathi, Mr. Atul Kulkarni, Member, Board of Governors, Guest of Honor, Mr. Venkat Chalasani, Chief Guest, Mr. Kaushik Mitra, Mrs. Mitra. I suddenly realized that Mr. and Mrs. Mitra and I go back quite a way, and I'm getting used to the idea. Distinguished guests for today's inaugural session, industry leaders, faculty and students of Indian Institute of Management, Shillong. It's a privilege for me to be here. The IIM Shillong has a long, or is starting out a long tradition, I hope, of raising business leaders of our country. And therefore, it is truly a privilege to be at the 8th edition of the Business Leaders Summit today. I have to talk to you about many things which Professor Tripathi has already touched upon. I'll just try to elaborate that. So, if the history of the universe can be likened to a journey of 100 kilometers, then it will not be till the 78th kilometer that you will encounter life. And the whole story of humanity is just the last 300 meters. So, seen from that humbling time and space perspective, independent India's journey from 1947 till today has been quite remarkable, actually, although we don't realize it. We started out as a nation which had food shortages. Today, we are not only just a food surplus economy, we are number 1, 2, or 3 in every agricultural produce that matters to our country. We are one of the most diversified manufacturing bases in emerging economies. We are the world's leader, as many speakers before me pointed out, in the services sector. For instance, in IT, but not just IT. We are one of the world's leaders in providing maritime personnel to the world, medical personnel to the world. So India has really evolved. And between 2000 to today, India has lifted 400 million people out of abject poverty, which is perhaps the biggest poverty eradication program in the world. Today, we export not jute, tea, but smartphones, space technology, cars. So that's a long, long way we have. There is a French writer and philosopher called Victor Hugo who once said that no one can stop an idea whose time has come. And I believe with all my conviction that India's time has come. And I'm not going to talk to you about the 78 years that we have come so far, but about the 50 years from today that India will go, because it belongs to you. So, as part of my job in the RBI, I was required to go twice a year to an island called Karanja, which Mr. Kutan, you would know. It's a place where India's naval warfare is developed. It's a very sophisticated naval warfare island. When I approached there, I used to be taken backwards just for security reasons. So there I used to go and talk to naval people who have come up to a leadership position. The island is headed by a rear admiral. And so I was one day talking to him, just what I told you right now. And I said, I'm going to IIM Shillong. So how do I put all this that I told you into one slide? So the slide I'm going to play is what he has given me. It has security issues. So you'll see that faces are blocked away. But this, he said, is my idea of India leaping into the future. So just look at it. It has sound, but I'm told that it can be controlled by the organizer. So that was a maritime version of the Sukhoi taking off from the decks of the Vikrant, the indigenous aircraft carrier. So this was his thing. I'm going to structure this whole thing into 3 portions. First of all, I will tell you about where we are today, followed by opportunities and challenges. 2 concepts I will introduce to you, which are very, very simple. One is GDP, gross domestic product, which means just the total value of all goods and services produced in India during a year or a quarter. Yesterday, in the evening, the Do you know how much it is? Correct. That was for the July-September period. The GDP of India rose at 8.2%, which is a remarkable thing. So this green line is GDP rate of growth. 8.2 is a rate of growth. GDP can be a level and it has a rate of growth. So this green line is the rate of growth of India's GDP from the time it became independent till today. There are statistical measures which tell you whether there is a break in the series or not. It's called a biparent test. So applying those tests to this whole series, one realizes that there are three breaks in India's growth path. The first one occurred in 1980. So the period from 1950, when GDP started to get measured in India, to 1980, if you take an average, the black line is the average, you get a growth rate of 3.6%. It has been called the Hindu rate of growth. Okay, it's not called Hindu rate of growth very positively because it was a low rate of growth. At that time, India looked inwards. Terms like self-reliance, import substitution, these were the terms that we used in our strategy of growth. And as a result, because India didn't interact with the rest of the world, which is very important, our growth rate was low. 1980, things changed because a young prime minister took office and somehow he was very embarrassed by this rate of growth and India opened up a little bit, opened up to the world. India started to go to financial markets in Japan and the US. India started to trade a little more. And the growth rate picked up. So between 1981 to 2002, the rate of growth went to 5.5. From 2002 to 2019, the growth rate went even further to 7%. And then came the COVID pandemic. The growth rate declined by 6%. We contracted, the Indian economy contracted by 6%. It was one of the worst affected by COVID. The only country which was worse affected was Peru in terms of the lives that were lost. In fact, in May, the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare has brought out new figures that show that actually the number of deaths during COVID in India were much more than what were counted that time. 100 years ago, COVID came to India. And India was the worst affected at that time too. It was called the Spanish flu. Okay. And strangely, we forgot all about it. We erased it from our minds. We didn't want to remember the Spanish flu. Otherwise, we would have known that COVID comes in waves, that social distancing is a way to challenge the virus. All that we forgot. In fact, there's a professor in Indian Institute of Management, Ahmedabad, who has written a book about it. His name is Chinmay Tumbe. The book is 100 Years of Pandemic. And the book started because his 8-year-old child read a Tintin comic and came across the word pandemic. And he asked his father, "What is a pandemic?" And that's how the book begins. In fact, the first sentence of the book is, 100 years ago, we died before we lived. The average age of an Indian at that time was 24 years. Okay. But India was one of the first countries to recover from COVID. Between 2021 to 25, 26, that is this year, India's growth rate is averaging 8% plus. And you know the recent number that has come out. So we are perhaps in a new growth trajectory at the current time. Okay. So what does it mean if you grow at 8% or whatever? If you don't compare how India is doing vis-a-vis other countries. So the next slide will show you how India fares in comparison with the top 10 or 15 big countries of the world. It's going to be a moving slide with a little sound, so I'll let it take over. But you will notice that some of those countries don't even exist today. Largest economy of the world. Now, this comparison that was shown on the screen is you take the GDP of a country, it is in rupees, divided by the rupee dollar rate, and you get for all the countries the GDP. This is the level of GDP. Okay, remember that. So, what happened after 2022? This is the growth rate of the world. It is estimated to grow at 3.2% this year. Now, these are the ways in which the countries of the world will contribute to this growth rate of the world. And that mustard line with numbers is India. India is the second largest contributor to the world growth. Out of that 3%, 0.55 will come from India this year. That's how important India is to the world. Okay. Now, here, remember I told you that to make this comparison, we took GDP, divided it by the rupee dollar rate to get dollars. So all the countries were dollars. Now, they say that's not a great measure because the dollar rate can go haywire for small, even if Trump sneezes, the rupee dollar rate may move, and can give a very distorted picture of the GDP because you're dividing GDP by that, right? Any idiosyncratic event can cause rupee dollar rate to fluctuate. So a better measure is what Director Professor Tripathi pointed out. It's called purchasing power parity. What does it mean? It's a simple thing. An average Indian buys some goods and services to live every day. An average American buys the same goods and services in America to live every day. Take the value of that in dollars, take the value of this in rupees, divide the two and you get the exchange rate. It's called purchasing power parity. How much can an average person spend on himself or herself on a given day's living, right? So that is where India was in 2000. In 2000, India was the fifth largest country in the world in terms of purchasing power parity. Another way to look at purchasing power parity is the McDonald's burger. The McDonald's burger has the same wheat, the same potatoes in every country in the world. Okay. The two differences. One is India, where we don't use beef in the Big Mac. We have a Maharaja Mac, which has chicken in it. And the other difference is Israel, which doesn't use cheese because it's not kosher. Okay, if you adjust for that difference, you get purchasing power parity. So here is where India is today. Number 3. Okay, this is the true value of a country's production. To give you an example, if you buy a Big Mac in the US, it costs you $6. With $6, you can buy 2.5 Maharaja Macs in India. So who is richer is the issue. That's what purchasing power parity measures. Now, there is a organization called OECD, Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. It's the Rich Nations Club. They have calculated on the basis of PPP into the future. And you can see that India is the green line. It will overtake the United States in PPP terms by 2045 and become the second largest, not the third largest, the second largest country in the world. Only country above it will be China. So just park this slide in your minds. I will come back to it in the end. So let's move to the next part of this thing. It is the why do I say that this is going to be India's time? Several things are coming together to give that boost to India. In the interest of time, I'll pick out 5 or 6 important ones. The first one is the demographic dividend. What is it? India is the most populous nation in the world today. It is also the world's youngest nation. The average age of India is 28 years old. 28 years. So in this pyramid, the population pyramid, you can see the bulge is happening at the 20 to 29 bracket. So what does this mean in terms of opportunity? It means that India will have the working age cohort, means people from 15 to 64, growing year after year, while all other countries in the world are aging. See, the green line is still rising today. It will rise up to 2040s. For other countries of the world, it has started to fall. They are becoming old. This is a big advantage because when you have people who can go to work, they can earn income, they can save, and that saving can go to make investment. And investments are the thing that power growth. Okay. This is how countries have enjoyed demographic dividend. Look at, for instance, Japan. It had a demographic dividend between 1964 and 2004. Now Japan is old. It can't be the world leader anymore. Its time is over. India is the blue bar, which is it started in 2018 and will go on till 2055. And then India will become old. So here is this window. You don't have to grow at 8-10% every year. You have to do it for, let's say, 10 years. And then if you grow even at 4 to 5%, you'll be there. Okay, but this is the most crucial time. The second opportunity. The blue line on the left side is the investment rate. Investment rate is the money that you put into machinery, equipment, factories, etc., which can produce other goods and services. Right? So India invests 32% of its GDP into investment. Quite a high rate of growth, but China invests 40%. So we need to raise that, right? But the important thing for India is that all of it is financed by us, the green line. It is our saving, our national saving. We are a thrifty nation. We naturally save a little bit of our income. And when we save, we put it into a bank deposit. The bank lends it out to businesses, and that's how India grows. Number 2, we are the holders of the fourth largest amount of dollars and gold in the world, 700 billion worth. Meaning, what do? We buy dollars, pounds, gold, big currencies, and invest them in those countries. At any time we want, we can pull it out and spend it. So if there is a crisis in India, we have a backup. 700 billion. Of course, not the highest. The highest is China. But still, we are quite noteworthy. Okay. In fact, India is in the news today because it is buying up gold like nobody's business. The result of this reserves is just not just because we hold reserves. Pardon? Yes, yes. So some of this gold is held outside India in the Bank of England, where mostly gold is held, and some of it is in Switzerland, in the Bank for International Settlement. Why it is held abroad? Because we can trade it. If we want, we can sell gold, buy gold, or raise US dollars by pledging gold, etc. We did that once. The result of this holding of 700 billion is that very few people dare to speculate against the rupee because they know RBI will step in. So the Indian rupee is one of the most stable currencies in the world. You can see how little it has moved from that zero line. So stability is another great advantage. Third advantage is our government finances are in order. During the pandemic, the government spent a lot of money to save lives and livelihood. Even today, that spending is going on in the form of free food grains, etc. But now it is cutting back its expense. And how is it doing it? It is cutting revenue expenditure like subsidies, freebies, etc. But it is still spending on roads, bridges, etc., capital expenditure. So the quality of that consolidation is good. And to give you an example of what is going on, see that red line on the right-hand side, that is the advanced countries, the rich countries of the world. Their debt is going to cross 100% of their GDP. It is already at 100, it will cross that and go to 113%. The most noteworthy case is the US, and the second one is China. Both are just out of control. In fact, whatever you see is happening out of the Trump administration is related in some way or the other. Other countries like India, emerging countries, will also go raising their debt till it reaches 78% by 2030. India is the only country which will reduce its debt from 90% today to 73%. These are not our calculations, these are IMF calculations, which does it for all countries of the world. Why is it a good thing? When the government vacates, the private sector can step in. And it's the private sector which has the animal spirit, the power to grow, create capacity. So this is therefore a good thing to have. Because if the government goes on spending, it will borrow more and it will tax more. Today we are in a position to reduce taxes. GST has been reduced, income tax has been reduced, further reductions are planned because the government is consolidated. Fourth advantage, India is at the forefront of the digital revolution, and this is brought about by what is called the India Stack. Stack has 3 or 4 parts. One is Jan Dhan, which means 93% of India has a bank. Very important. But not only to bring them out of the clutches of the moneylender, but also to target them to send government subsidies, gas subsidy or something, it goes straight into the account. India has among the highest number of mobile users. Many of you don't go to a bank, you use your mobile, right? And we have a unique identification number, the Aadhaar. The combination of these three is called the Jam Trinity, which is powering India's digital revolution. So because of this, we have the UPI, which has the maximum number of transactions on a digital platform in the world. And this is being recognized the world over. So we are exporting UPI today to 18 countries of the world already, and more want to join. Some want to join without getting exported. They want to join, like Japan wants to join UPI from Japan, not that UPI will go to Japan. Fifth, we are empowering our financial system. We are getting our financial system future ready. Those red bars are non-performing loans. You might have heard of it in your classes. They mean those loans that do not get service, mean principal and interest is not paid for 90 days. At one time it was very high, now we are bringing them down. The figure that you see, 2.8, is gross non-performing assets. But if I take away provisions, we ask, every time a loan goes non-performing, RBI asks that bank that you set aside some money against. So if you take that money that is already set aside into account, 2.8 is actually zero. So no impaired asset on the banking system. At the same time, we are encouraging the banks that you build up capital to protect yourself against unforeseen calamity. So while RBI asks for 9%, which is the black line, the banks have already built up 17% of their balance sheet in the form of capital. Why is this being done? Because India is preparing to go to become the second largest economy of the world. You will require your banks to be fit, sound, and vibrant to finance that growth. So this is the next advantage. And then my constituency. At one time, India was 10% plus inflation. So in 2016, the parliament enacted a law which made RBI have one primary goal, and that is inflation. That the rate of increase of prices will be restricted to 4%. Everyone knows that because it's most vividly described and talked about. We have a band of 2% above and 2% below it because of the fact that India's inflation is subject to very many supply shocks like monsoon failure or things like that, which can cause it to vary. Therefore, this plus minus 2% band. So in 2013, inflation was at 11%. The choice before RBI was get 11 to 4 down in one shot. That it can do. But the loss of welfare would be very high. So we chose a gradual path of bringing 11 to 4, and this was what we did. During the pandemic, inflation went outside the band. Again, after the Ukraine war, it went outside the band because international commodities rose. Whenever it goes outside the band, the RBI is required to write a letter, open letter. It will have 3 parts. 1, I failed. 2, why I failed. And 3, what do I plan to do about it and what period of time. So it's a binding constraint on the RBI. Bring inflation down. And this inflation is measured in terms of the prices that every man or woman encounters in the shop, the retail inflation. So in the RBI, what they do is they have what is called Households Inflation Expectation Survey, where people who we teach, they go to houses and they do what is called stratified random sampling, go by poll booth. From a poll booth, we start going around. And they ask households, what do you think is inflation? First, they tell them what is inflation. Inflation is different from prices. The rate of change of prices, not price level. All that they do. And then they ask them, what do you think is inflation today? What do you think inflation will be 3 months from today? What do you think it will be 1 year from today? So we get a sense of what they think it will be. So to give you a sense of how households think, today inflation is 0.4% in India, the last number that came. The next number will be on the 12th of December. As against 0.4% measured inflation, households think it will be 8%. Why? Because the most of the questionnaire is mostly answered by housewives. 60% of the sample is housewives who are in touch with purchasing for the houses, right? What do they buy? They buy food, fuel like kerosene, That is what they remember in their mind. And those prices are 7-8%. So houses are a little backward looking. They look back at their last spending experience and they tell us. So you have to adjust for that in statistical terms to know what. So now the level is not so important, the rate of change is. Okay, so these are the opportunities. Now let me move to the challenges, because every silver lining has a cloud. What is our big challenge? One, don't try to make any sense of it, but look at India. You'll see that the contribution of labor to GDP is very, very small. We are the largest, most populated country in the world today. We produce the maximum number of what are called STEM graduates: science, technology, engineering, mathematics. But the contribution of our workforce to GDP is one of the smallest when seen against other countries. And that is why 54% of our graduates are employable. 45 are not employable. This is actually a wake-up call to the faculty. Are you teaching our India Next the right things? Because I'll come to that. These problems are big problems, and India has to do what is called the biting the bullet, meaning it has to reform primary education. The primary education in India is the pits. We have to reduce search time, job search time. Why does a graduate have to go looking for a job and waste time? There are many things which we need to do which call for deep-seated reform. Some other deep-seated reforms are like reforming the judiciary. Why are there so many cases pending? The IAS, when do we reform the bureaucracy? So these are the big reforms that are waiting to happen. But there is one way out, easy way. Our female labor force participation is one of the lowest in the world. If we get our women to work, we have a way out. But it will call for changes in social norms, changes in stigma. We have to cater to the woman. I was working in the IMF for several years. Over there, the office has a creche. So a woman can bring her baby to the office, leave it in the creche with caregivers who will see that it's bathed, fed, etc. She can come and peep in and see if everything is all right. That gives a lot of relief to a mother while working. Likewise, we have extended families in India where we take care of our parents or parents-in-law. That should be made possible. One way we learned was work from home or work from anywhere during the COVID period. Why can't we just make it a serious part of our lives? So that's a big challenge. No easy solutions. A good labor force has to have good infrastructure. The world's best roads, hospitals, etc. We are there already. We have some of the world's best airports. We are going to have one of the world's best ports, container traffic, etc. We have some very good roads coming up. But there are many, many things to be done. For instance, my pet peeve is, why can't I drink water from a tap? Most of our diseases are waterborne. Why can't I just open a tap and the technology is available? In India, we spent $90 per person on infrastructure, which is very poor. The little red line is India. See how other countries of the world spend on the infrastructure. Because the labor force is useless if it doesn't have good physical infrastructure. So the blue lines, blue bars, are where we are. The green lines are where we want to be. At the current time, we spend 3.5% of our GDP on infrastructure. If we raise it to 6%, we are there. That close. And of course, you need good laws to enable that, and finance, where you guys come in. Next, challenge. When India became independent, it was heralded as a miracle among economists. Because what India did was it shifted agricultural labor to services. was leapfrogging. No other nation had done that at that time. So many economists of the world came to actually live in India and study this phenomenon. But looking back, it was a mistake. Because when you take unskilled labor from the fields, you want to put them through semi-skilled work, which happens in manufacturing because it's repetitive work, do the same thing several times, and then move them to high-class services. So now India is working backward, like through the PLI scheme, production linked incentive scheme, etc., where manufacturing is now in the focus. So that green line is the rate of growth of manufacturing in India. It's a jagged line, but if you average it, we are growing at 7.5. With that, the share of manufacturing in GDP is 17%. Okay. Now, suppose I could take that 7.5% to 8.5%, I will raise the share of manufacturing to 20% of GDP. Just 1 percentage point. Okay. If I can raise it to 12.5%, not difficult, my share will go to 25% and I'll be one of the world's largest manufacturers. Exactly what China is doing. Okay, this is what we need to do. And for that, as I mentioned, the labor force has to be skilled differently. We must get used to what is called Industrial Revolution 4.0, cloud computing, Internet of Things, AI, ML, those things. That's what we need to teach our children at a young age, not here. Here you should be completely familiar with it. So one of my younger colleagues in the RBI, she phoned me and said, I've decided to take on a PhD. I was very worried because she was not a very studious person. I said, you have to study a lot and you have to do a lot of analytics and all that. She said, don't worry. I have bought a chat GPT for 25,000. So I said, what will it, how you, eventually you'll have to do some work yourself. She said, why? They already put down 249 pages of the thesis. Then I asked her, but you have to defend your thesis. Don't worry, 49 questions and answers it has prepared. That's the, okay. Quite natural to becoming a manufacturing powerhouse is to become an exporter, world exporter. Today we produce 860 billion of exports of goods and services, 450 good, 300 billion services. If each of them we can raise to 1 trillion, there, we'll have 5% of the world's market and we'll be an exporting power. Just 5%. Today our share is 1.8%. And if you thought it's an outlandish idea, look at what we did to electronics. Today Apple's smartphones are mostly produced in India. Shortly we are already exporting chips, semiconductors. Shortly we will be doing all of those things. So it's possible, but we have to do it in a hurry now, because the window is short. They are what is called global capability centers. These are multinational offices which are coming to India. That's why office space in India is today very expensive. Why are they coming to India? They want to recruit you guys and export to the world, not IT, architectural design, this case law, law cases, transcripts, hospital transcripts are all being exported from these GCs. So if they can come and find talent in India, why can't we? Next is internationalization. Indians are the most international people in the world today. The number of Indians living abroad is the maximum in the world. It's called the diaspora. In the United States, it's the second richest community next to the Jewish community. So people going abroad today are becoming doctors, engineers, etc., not labor in Gulf and all. Okay, we are the world's biggest receiver of remittances. Salaries sent by Indians working abroad to their home. Today, the Indian rupee trades 3 times more in London than in Mumbai. You can go to Singapore today, take out a 50 rupee or a 500 rupee note and get it exchanged for Sing dollar. You can go to Toronto and change it to Canadian dollar. No more that old restrictions exist because people recognize that Indian rupee is now trading in centers like New York, Singapore, and London. And as I said, we are exporting UPI and RuPay card to a number of nations already. So these are the things which are challenging but doable. That was the theme that I was trying to pursue. Now I'm going to present you with a challenge which I don't know is doable or not. It's a very, very formidable one. Control the sound. And that is climate change. India is the most vulnerable nation to climate change. As you're seeing, climate events happening on a daily basis. Okay. Why are we worried today? Because this is human. It's the Anthropocene era we live in. The humans are changing the climate. Okay. And what can climate change do? To just simulate a climate change event, I'm going to take you 64 billion years into the past to show you a climate event that happened in the world, not because of humans, but just see what a climate change will do. It's a video from Discovery Science. So many years the earth burned and the clouds of dust completely covered the world, obscuring the sun. Almost all of life perished. Things that are happening today in terms of greenhouse gases. But one dinosaur survived, and that was the theropod dinosaur, which I've left here. They live with us today as the birds. So that is the theme of this slide. The climate change is upon us, created by us, but there is hope. It is in our hands to stop it if we want. For long, RBI denied, I have nothing to do with climate. Despite some of us, raising objections to that. They say, well, my job is price stability. What does climate change do? But today, when a crop fails because of a climate event, prices go up. Balance sheets of banks get affected. So financial stability goes haywire. It is the business of RBI and all of the central banks to look at climate and do things which should stop it. So RBI is doing things like taking what are called green deposits, issuing green bonds, things like that. But first of all, I thought the most important thing the RBI did was to try to seek to measure it. never seen a cyclone happen in Arabian Sea, but it's reality. Precipitation is rising. Ocean. New York also. Actually, someone mentioned I was in the NABARD. We have a laboratory where we simulate New York going down in a 3D atmosphere. So on the left side is an index we have created of climate change where we use 11 indicators like this, and you can see it is only rising. So here are some climate actions that India has decided it will take, like green financing where I come from, but other things like rooftop solar, clean transportation, things like that. Actually, they follow through from our pledge that we took at COP, the contracting parties in Paris, which is Panch Amrit, as the Prime Minister calls them. Director mentioned that we are well on the way to achieve one of them, that is renewable. 50% of our electricity is already from renewable. But on the others, we are lagging far behind. So already the sign of improvement is there. That black line is the amount of energy you require to produce 1 unit of GDP. And you can see it is declining. But the yellow line is rising, that is the emissions. Only in the most recent years there has been a small fall. This has already been told by Director that our fossil to non-fossil fuel composition is changing rapidly, but we need to move fast now. So I am at the end of my presentation, but remember I told you that there was that one slide I told you to park it in your minds. I'm going to go back to that slide. You remember that I said that if everything remaining the same, India will overtake the United States by 2045 and become the second largest nation in the world. But if we exploit the opportunities that I talked to you about, if we overcome the challenges that I talked to you about, then this will not be the path of India. This will be the path. We will overtake the United States not in 2047, but in the mid-2030s. And we will overtake China in 2060 and become the largest nation of the world. And if you think that I am a dreamer, this same calculation has been worked backwards to 1 AD. So between 1000 AD and 1700 AD, India was the largest power of the world. 25% of the world GDP was with India, till the British East India Company came. So why can't we achieve it or even eclipse it? That is a call you all have. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir, for illuminating India's economic rise on leadership on the world stage and the need to address the climate change as soon as possible. Your insights and perspective added immense depth to today's discussion. With that, let's move forward to the address by our esteemed guest of honor for the morning. Sri Venkat Nageshwar Chalasani is presently the CEO of Association of Mutual Funds of India. He is the board member of SBI CD MDF. He was Deputy Managing Director, International Banking Group of State Bank of India. Sri Venkat held various distinguished positions in RBI Pan-India and abroad. He worked in various areas of banking such as credit, treasury, retail, risk management to name a few. He was also the member of Advisory Committee of SRI Group of Companies, Financial Advisory to REC, IRFC and Great Capital. Without further ado, I invite Sri Venkat Chalasani to share his thoughts with us.
Dr. Michael Patra, it's very difficult for me to take the speech after your fantastic presentation. It's simply fabulous. And I'm sure it's going to be extremely difficult for me. I had taken so many assignments in my 40 years of career, but this is going to be my toughest assignment, Dr. Patra, because of you. Yeah. Dr. Nalini Tripathi, Director, Mr. Kulkarni, Mr. Mitra, Mrs. Mitra, the distinguished faculty, esteemed guests, and young friends from IIM Shillong. Good morning to all of you. First of all, my sincere thanks to Dr. Nalini for having me, calling me here to make this keynote address to all of you. It's really an honor and privilege to be standing in front of you and addressing this. And coming to a campus is always brings back memories of my own formative years. When I left Visakhapatnam, when I joined in State Bank of India way back in 1983, and that was in Ujjain. And when I left Visakhapatnam, which was in the eastern part of the India, when I moved to the western part, one of the defining statements which my mother has made when I left at that point of time was that she told me, Venkat, when money is lost, nothing is lost. When health is lost, something is lost. But when character is lost, everything is lost. Those words have shaped my worldview, especially in the financial sector, where trust is the very foundation on which everything else is built. Leadership, I have learned, is ultimately a reflection of character and not a position. Throughout my career, that's one compass based on which I moved forward. Indian financial ecosystem, of course, Dr. Patra had very, very clearly articulated as we speak now. It is one of the strongest and most dynamic globally. We have seen various turmoil, but still we have seen the way in which it is resilient, and the credit goes to most of the regulators, the most important regulator being Reserve Bank of India, the SEBI, IRDAI, PFRDA, IFSCA, and they brought transparency, the prudential discipline, the stability into the system. What we have seen over a period of time is the enhanced risk management systems, the better government standards, and the early identification of stress, which again Dr. Patra was showing you, the way in which non-performing assets are ballooned to as high as around 9 to 10%. And right now, as we speak now, you find most of the banks showing the non-performing assets near zero. If you're taking the net NPAs, we're not talking about the gross NPAs, it has come down. And the way in which the focus on the systemic resilience and reduction in the concentration risk, all these factors together, along with all the regulators, have ensured that we have a stability in our economy despite the global volatility. We're talking about in fact, Dr. Patra was the one who started this monetary policy committee. He was the one who was the architect who ensured that the inflation remained stable, and that's where the fruits of it is being witnessed as we speak now. And when I moved from the banking sector to the capital markets, we have seen that they are becoming very deeper, more transparent, and more inclusive. One of the things we are looking at, the investments that are coming in, we are looking at the growing SIP contribution. SIP, again, I'll talk to you about it a bit later. There is a retail participation in this, more and more retail involvement is there. More and more individuals are participating in this growth story. There is a shift from savings to investments, again, which Dr. Patra has explained in his presentation. And these are all because of the structural transition that is happening in the Indian economy. We're looking at people who have, in India, if you talk about, we have almost around 66% of the household saving going into non-financial assets. The 44% going into real estate, 22% going into the gold. So almost 66% of the household saving goes into the the non-financial assets, and the remaining 34% comes into the financial assets. Again, within that space, you see almost around 40% going into savings, but then a small portion comes into the investments as well. But the point which Dr. Patra was again talking about, if an investments is the one that's going to bring more money multiplier, and that's how we are trying to do in this space to bring the more and more people from savers to the investors. But mutual fund industry has become a channel for democratizing the wealth creation and enabling the ordinary citizens to participate in the India growth story. Technology, again, what Dr. Patra talked about, Internet 2014 is a sea changer, game changer. That was in the time when JAM, what was talking about Jan Dhan, Aadhaar, mobility had come into space. And more than 50 crore people have come into the financial inclusion. And I was witness to that because I was in State Bank of India as a deputy managing director. We were looking at the way in which we brought crores and millions of people into the banking sector. Now, online transactions have picked up quite substantially. Digital KYC, UPI, and of course the AI-led processes have reduced the friction that we're looking at, enhanced the participation, and improved the transparency in the country. India is now seen as a global benchmark in digital financial inclusion. So one of the challenges Dr. Patra had mentioned, but of course the bigger challenge was looking at the financial interlinkages. Because you have NBFCs, you have mutual funds, you have the banking sector, you have alternate investment funds, but each of them investing into these, and so there are challenges which are likely to happen, which can have a cascading effect. But regulators have consistently ensured that there is a robust liquidity framework, better stress testing. That's what, if you would have seen the way in which mutual fund industry has put into on our own sides about the stress testing that we do of investments into the mid cap and small cap. There is an active supervision by the regulators and the prudential limit on exposures, and all these ensure that the challenges of the managing the interlinkages and reduce the systemic risk in the banking and the anti-financial sector. But let me come to the industry which I am operating in, that's the mutual fund industry. At AMFI, our mission is very simple. We need to protect the investor, we need to empower the investor, we need to educate the investor. That's the objective. While we are looking at bringing the transparency, we are looking at the major transformation, we're looking at the disclosures. How many of you are investors into the mutual fund? Oh, that's simply fantastic. I mean, I'm pretty impressed because I've seen, whenever I talk about this, I see very few people raising, but looking at you, it gives me a great satisfaction because some of the people are moving from savings to the investors. The disclosures that we do, every day you get an NAV, net asset, what is your value. The disclosures that we do is one of the best in the world. In fact, Value Research has come out with a report saying that the Indian mutual fund industry is on par with the US, and only two AMCs or two mutual fund industries across the globe use the disclosures as good as what India does. The suitability and risk profiling are firmly embedded. We have all the schemes are true to the label. I mean, there are no fancy words. You know, if you're talking about large cap, we're investing in larger industries, you're talking about mid cap, small cap. There is a true to label, and there are no mis-selling, and the participation is raising beyond metros and tier 1 cities. We're trying to move towards tier 2 cities. We're trying to see to it that more and more women participation happens, because empowerment, financial empowerment of the woman is extremely important for us to achieve the Vikshit Bharat, or one step above what Dr. Patra was also showing about. So you would have seen just a couple of days back only SEBI has come out with a circular saying that there is going to be an additional incentive that is going to be provided if more and more people from B30, that is beyond 30 cities, and new women that are added into the mutual fund space. So there will be an extra incentive that is being provided in order to ensure that the more people come into the investment space. One of the most impactful initiatives in the Indian financial sector has been, I think all of you would agree, not just in India, but whenever I go across the globe, people talk about one of the most impactful campaign that has started off. I think all of you would agree that's mutual fund Sahi campaign. It's people in 2017. What exactly has happened was SEBI said that for the purpose of investor awareness, there is a need for transferring 1 basis point of the assets under management by each of the AMC to the AMFI. And AMFI has created this what we call the financial investor awareness campaign, and the most important campaign that started off was mutual fund Sahi. And trust me, because of this particular campaign, every place wherever we go, people do know what SIP is. SIP has become a household word, and it is reaching millions of people across the country, made financial concepts simple and relatable, encourage disciplined investing through SIPs, and build confidence among the first-time investors. Now, what we are doing now, we are focusing on the regional and rural outreach. We are looking at the vernacular content. We are looking at community level awareness. We're looking at women investors and first-time earners. We are looking digital learning tools. And above all, we are collaborating with marquee institutions across the country in order to ensure that the financial literacy is spread across the length and breadth of the country. And we are proud to state that we have entered into an arrangement with IIM Shillong also in order to ensure that we cover the investor awareness across the northeastern states. And our objective of imparting this financial literacy and facilitating the research of investor behavior and market trends will be fulfilled. And in my 40 years of my career in the financial industry, some of the things that I have learned and which may be useful to you, all of you, is that never stop learning. I mean, you keep learning as we move forward. I moved in all the areas in the banking sector, now of course into the mutual fund industry. But despite the fact that I put in more than 41, 42 years of service in this space, I still keep learning. We need to collaborate with the company, collaboration matters more than the competition. We need to constantly collaborate with the fintech companies. Like you would have seen, some of you who are the customers of State Bank of India will see that YONO, one of the app that we have developed, is very powerful app, one-stop shop for everything. In fact, I still remember we had an ADB conference where we went to Fiji Islands, where we had Mr. Rajneesh Kumar was the chairman at that point of time, and I had a lunch-on meeting with the Lloyds Bank MD, and he was explaining about the technology developments in his part of the in UK bank. When Mr. Rajneesh Kumar showed him this YONO, he was surprised. He said that instead of my people, your people coming to London to watch the way in which IT is developed, I'll send my own people to India to see how this YONO has been developed. That's the way in which the technology has been developed. The other important thing that we need to do is listen with empathy. Good decisions come from understanding diverse perspectives. Integrity is a strong currency. Skills can be learned, but trust needs to be earned. And more importantly, as a leadership, you need to claim, you cannot claim it by authority, as I said in the beginning. It's not just by the position that we claim it, but it needs to be skills, it needs to be by taking the responsibility. And as a future leaders, I would recommend 3 things. You need to have a clarity of thought in a world which is full of noise. In this world, which is full of noise, the ability to differentiate information from distraction will set you apart. Finance touches lives. Your decision must stand the test of fairness, transparency, and ethics. And all the more important, while we talked about AI, what Dr. Patra was talking about, his own colleague was talking about the way in which he's going to prepare her PhD. AI, automation, blockchain, and digital platforms will redefine finance. Your agility to embrace and shape these changes will define your leadership. While we are moving forward, as again in the presentation it has been shown very clearly that India is moving forward at a growth of around 7.5%. We are dreaming of becoming a Vikshit Bharat. We are dreaming of becoming a developed world by 2047. While it is not just a vision, it is a collective responsibility. Your generation, like what Dr. Patra has talked about, your generation is going to shape these institutions, the policies, the enterprises, and innovations of this new India. But trust me, whether you choose finance or consulting or technology, public policy or entrepreneurship, you will be the architects of the next Indian economic leap. The world believes in India. Wherever we go, wherever I go across the globe, one topic that is always in the boardroom discussion is about India. The question is, can we match that belief with competence, courage, and character? So as you begin your professional journeys, success will come, opportunities will surprise you, challenges will test you. But what is going to define you is how grounded and how principled you will remain. If you live with integrity, empathy, and purpose, you will not only transform the organizations, you will contribute to building a stronger and a more resilient India. So let me leave with you with a thought that is always taken with me. That is, leadership is not about being the best in the room. Leadership is not being the best in the room. Leadership is about bringing out the best in everyone around you. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. God bless all of you and all the very best.
Thank you, sir, for sharing such measured and impactful observations. They have added great value to our discussions today. We will just wait for a minute for Sri Kaushik Mitra sir to come back, and then we will continue the session after that. Thank you, everyone. We will now move forward to the address for our chief guest for the event. Shri Kaushik Mitra is the Vice President and CFO at PepsiCo India. With over 30 years of experience, he was in multiple roles across several industries and companies such as the RPG Group, Tata Group, GE, Reckitt Benckiser, and currently PepsiCo. At PepsiCo, Kaushik is responsible for overseeing financials for PepsiCo's foods, beverages, and nutrition business in India and South Asia. He has been associated with PepsiCo for the past 24 years and was actively involved across PepsiCo's businesses in India and Asia, Middle East, Africa sector. Shri Kaushik is a qualified chartered accountant, holds an MBA in finance from the Indian Institute of Management, Calcutta, and is an alumnus of St. Xavier's College, Kolkata. He is an active contributor to the industry and has been authoring articles in IIM CFO Connect magazine. He has also authored 2 fiction novels under the Crossing Over trilogy. It is our honor to invite our chief guest for the event, Shri Kaushik Mitra, to address the gathering.
Good morning. How's everybody feeling? The folks at the back. How's everybody feeling? How's the energy in the room? That's the best you can do. How's the energy in the room? Great, great. So, thank you, Dr. Tripathi, for this wonderful opportunity. Mr. Chalasari, thank you for being here. Dr. Patra, obviously not here. I was fortunate to meet him downstairs. And Mr. Kulkarni. It's a great privilege and an honor for me to be here addressing all of you. But it's also a sense of deja vu for me personally, because I went to a boarding school in the hills, the Himalayan hills, in a town called Kurseong, okay, which is half the way to Darjeeling. And so any journey back to the hills is a pleasant experience. The other thing is I come from Delhi. How many of you from Delhi? Would you like to be in Delhi now or here? Any day here, right? So when I looked at the AQI in the morning, I saw green for the first time in several days. So literally it's like a breath of fresh air for me, right? And this interaction is also a breath of fresh air. Now, I was prepared. I have a speech there. I've got some copious notes in terms of what I was going to talk about today. And a lot of it was to do with India. But you know, after Dr. Patra, after the speakers who have come before me, I thought, what more can I talk about India? So I'm going to start with a leadership lesson in life. And that lesson is all about adaptability. You guys understand adaptability? So the speech goes out of the window. It's there on that table. I'm not going to talk about that. When I was sitting, I just made a few notes, right? I'm going to talk about that. So I grew up in a middle-class family in Calcutta. And from my parents, and we talked about character today. Attitude and character. Remember, no matter what you are taught, no matter who you are, attitude and character will define the footprint and the impression, and it's not all about success that you will leave behind. So I grew up in a middle-class family, low middle-class family actually. And from my parents, I learned 2 things. From my mother, I learned the importance of being good. And that's the first person that I am. And from my father, since we didn't have a silver spoon, I learned the importance of doing well. So being good and doing well is basically the pillars of my personality. And your personalities are below the water surface, right? They are the iceberg that you don't see. They don't change. And over the last 30 years, I've been very, very fortunate to get a lot of support from a lot of people to get to where I am today. And the most important person is here in this room with all of us, and that's my wife. And she has been a friend, philosopher, guide, and my partner for 30 years. And I want to, really give her a big round of applause for being a pillar of support. We are not alone, and we cannot achieve anything alone. In life, you will need support, right? I can tell you, we have a domestic help who has been with us for 25 years. Our son is 25 years. And she has moved from Delhi to Chennai to Ho Chi Minh City to Hong Kong to Dubai with us, and without her support, as a family, we won't have been able to do what we do. So my first lesson is a lesson of humility, of recognizing how fortunate we are to be sitting here in IIM Shillong. All of you are privileged, and you also have a responsibility. So I'm going to talk a little bit about not what's written in the books, but what really happens in the real world. Okay? And it's in 3 parts. The first part is about how you develop yourself. Remember, you today is not going to be enough for what is going to be required of you tomorrow. And the first thing on that aspect is what the Japanese called soshing. Anybody heard of soshing? Come on, guys. It's a term which means a beginner's mind. I can tell you, no matter what you're learning today, no matter the amount of knowledge that you have, and guess what? We are getting into artificial intelligence. So knowledge is not going to be what the humans will do, right? We will do something else, right? There will be bots who will be smarter than us. But soshing is about having a mind like a child. Every day is new. Because in this VUCA world that we live today, we will need to learn, unlearn, and relearn. And I can see from my experience a lot of times we are so focused on knowledge and brilliance that we forget about this very important aspect of resilience. And I'll come to that second. So I would urge all of you to not be happy with what you know today, not be happy with who you are today, but I'm getting reverse mentored by my son. He's a software engineer. And every conversation with him, I'm learning more than he's learning from me. And I can tell you that's going to happen to you guys also. Right. So keep a mind like a child. And learning never stops. Okay. And it's not that you get out of the institute and that's done and you jump into execution and doing things and chasing your careers. You have to learn. When we were growing up, we didn't have computers. I remember the biggest change for all of us, and I was working then, was the C:// the DOS prompt, big thing, right? And sometimes the thing, nothing would come after that. You keep pressing and nothing's coming, right? But that was slow change. For you, things are changing so fast. So unless you have that learning, agile mind, you're going to be left behind. So that's the first lesson, soshing. Read more about it. The second thing is resilience. I think today we are focused overtly on brilliance. Now, brilliance is important. I'm sure all of you would not be here if you were not bright, right? But just brilliance is not going to get you through life. I'll tell you a story. I went to Vietnam. One fine day, my boss called me and said, fantastic opportunity, joint venture in Ho Chi Minh City between PepsiCo and Suntory, and you're going to be the CFO, the only PepsiCo representative. And the first thing I did is look at the map. Where is Ho Chi Minh City? And never in my wildest dream that I thought I'll go and work in Vietnam. I called my real boss, my wife, and she said, I hope you turned down the job, right? And but I landed up there, and my family hadn't moved that time because our son was giving an ICSE exam. And the first 7 days, the head of information technology, the IT person who used to report to me, came and said, boss, all the systems are down. Somebody has planted a virus. And then the CEO comes in after 5 minutes and he says, you know what, you're sitting on your chair, but the sales have stopped and manufacturing has stopped. What are you doing about it? And I felt like a deer caught in the middle of the road with the headlights on me. Felt like a victim. I was frozen and I remained frozen for 2 days. Nothing, right? And I was thinking, why is this happening to me? I'm in a country which is new. I don't even know the culture, don't know the language. My family is not with me. Why does this happen to me? But then after 2 days, I realized if I don't do something about it, nobody's going to do anything about it. Any of you see the Die Hard movies, Bruce Willis? Anybody is a Bruce Willis fan? You have to be that person. Otherwise, it ain't happening. And then I moved from the victim stage to what I call the karna kya hai stage. Matlab kuch to karna hai. We have to do something, right? And then I called a few of my Indian friends who were also, CFOs and other, senior position in other companies. They said, guess what? Our systems are also done. And in Southeast Asia, these things happen. They keep fighting over the islands in the South China Sea, and some friendly neighbor or unfriendly neighbor plants some virus. Don't ask me the names, okay? Take a guess. And then I felt great. You've read Dale Carnegie's book, I Am Okay, You're Okay. How to Win Friends and Influence People. So I said, okay. It's not only I am not okay, some others are also not okay. Great, I feel great, right? Better. And I moved from victim to karna kya hai to now thinking of this as an opportunity, and we got the systems up before others did. Now life is going to throw you a curved ball all the time. It's what happens in your head. How do you move when things like this happen? From the victim stage to the karna kya hai stage, and then think of that as an opportunity, is what will define success for you. So don't fear failure. It's how fast you get up and what you learn when you fail. That is going to be the most important thing. Okay? This is going to be as valuable as everything that you have learned, because life is not going to be a smooth race. Take it from me, I have failed several times. And my biggest learnings have been from failure. The third, and this is, you will not maybe relate to it now, but you will relate to it later as you become more and more senior and you get into your career. Compared to the earlier times where life was pretty simple, now there is a lot of stress. Okay, you heard of stress, mental health issues, people are burning out, blah, 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 right? Like any stress, right? You have to find a way to balance. Now, think of it like a graphic equalizer. You know those jukeboxes which has bass, treble, and so on and so forth, right? If you are a unidimensional person just pumping up the treble, you will be a very disbalanced person. You will be a very unhappy person. So, if it's only career and promotion and salary increments and you want to be the CEO, if that is what drives you all the time, you ain't going to be a happy person. So you need to pursue your passions. And today, I, for example, have a YouTube channel. I can play 4 musical instruments, right? But I have a stressful day, I come back and I take my guitar, I sit down, I strum a few numbers. That's better than medicine for me. So as you become senior professionals in companies, you have to learn to balance yourself. Why? Because as a leader, ultimately your job is to give. And unless you're able to nourish yourself, you will not be able to give. Okay, so find the right balance. People tell me, how do you find time to write? My HR folks are still wondering whether I work or I don't work, What do I do? Because I do so many other things. And my answer to them is, I'm able to bring my best self to work because I balance myself, right? So that's a message for all of you as well. The fourth point on developing yourself is integrity. And I think you said it, right? Integrity is 100% or nothing. In life, you'll always be in the gray zone. Imagine I'm a CFO, I've been on compliance and ethics committee in many parts of the world. And I've seen great leaders lose their jobs, right? Because of that one false step. You are who you are in an empty room where nobody is watching you. That's a powerful thing I just said, right? So, you don't need watchdogs. You have to be your own watchdog. And therefore, when you're faced with these dilemmas, I would urge you to always take the right path and do things the right way. Integrity is 100% on us. So, those are some things on developing yourself. But success is really not about you as an individual. Success is about how you work with others, right? And there are certain aspects of working with others which are very, very important to succeed. The first one is influencing. How do you influence? Anybody can tell me what is influencing? Come on. Yeah? Yeah, that's a decent, that's a pretty good answer. We are influencing all the time, right? Whether it's a business conversation, you're influencing your boss to put some investments in. You're deciding who to come and speak here, right? you are trying to convince your spouse to do something or your partner to do something. How do you influence? And it's 3 Greek words: ethos, logos, and pathos. Ethos is about credibility. Who you are. Why will people listen to you? Why am I standing here and talking? Why would you guys listen to me? Right? Now, credibility is like a glass ball. It takes a long time to build. Integrity is a big part of credibility. Being authentic is a big part of credibility. But it's easy to break. So build your own leadership ethos, right? So that people know who you are and why would they listen to you. And then there is logos. Indians are great at logic, right? The argumentative Indian. If you put 10 Indians in one room, and I've seen that because I've worked outside, we will have all different points of views. But pathos is really the secret sauce of success in the corporate world. We use it in our family situations. What do I mean by pathos? Emotional connect. Imagine our relationships in the professional domain. Very transactional. You want something from me, you come to me. I want something from you, I go to you. Otherwise, we don't, It's a very, very, mere liye kya hai? That kind of a thing, right? That mindset won't work. So you have to invest in what I call trust accounts. You have to develop trust with your stakeholders. I have moved so many jobs, must be around 12, 13 moves in so many places, all different stakeholders. Zero credibility to start with. How do I build trust with them? They don't know me, right? I have a 30, 60, 90-day plan. I take a piece of paper, I write down who are my stakeholders. And then I put trust monies into those accounts. And what I mean by trust monies is building that pathos, right? Getting out of the transactional relationship. Things happen at the speed of trust. Who said that? Stephen Covey, right? Things happen at the speed of trust. And I have seen that in corporate life. You all will see it. I have seen hundreds of emails being exchanged. And normally people like to mark the senior people, so I get marked on all the emails. It's like sitting in Wimbledon and watching a tennis match going on. And then somebody picks up the phone and talks to somebody and done. Right? Why? Because they have very low trust. And if you have high trust between individuals and between teams, you can get things done. So build trust. And the other thing that I'm very passionate about, having worked in Southeast Asia, is this whole aspect of diversity and inclusion. And there are a couple of aspects I want to touch upon today because you all are going to be the future of corporate India. Every time I come back, I'm so happy to see a much more diverse workforce. To start with, many, many more women in the workforce. And I represent PepsiCo, and I can tell you that is something that we pride a lot, creating an inclusive culture. And we saw Dr. Patra mention what is the GDP payoff of getting more women into the workforce, right? Now, it's a chicken and egg story. It's not about getting only women into the workforce. How do you set them up for success? How do you get them into leadership roles? Men have to play a role as well. It's easy for men to get mentored because there are senior men to mentor them, right? But not so for women. So I would urge all of you, and particularly the men in the room, to create that space and focus on creating a diverse culture. When I went to Dubai, I had a team which was somebody from Vietnam, somebody from Guatemala, somebody from Colombia, somebody from China, somebody from the Middle East, no Indians. So my way of working in India, chalo kar lete hain, didn't work, fell flat. The Turkish girl told me, don't keep calling me on the phone and giving me instructions. Please write an email with your thoughts. Your thoughts are good, but not the way you communicate, right? So that was a lesson. And I realized, and I thought first the problem is with them. Then I realized, no, problem is with me. Right? The question you have to ask, what difference does the difference make? And the answer will lie in your own head. Inclusive teams bring out far better results. If you surround yourself with people who are just like you, the results will be suboptimal. You have to get people who have diverse perspectives. I have been a CFO for so long, and I can tell you I'm sitting in board meetings and business meetings where I'm the only one raising my hand and say, sorry, this doesn't work. Right? There could be a governance challenge here. Or is this the only way that we need to do it? Can we look at something else? So great leaders are the ones who surround themselves with people not like the leader, but somebody with a different perspective. I just did a ChatGPT training, or artificial AI training, and you can create personas. You guys know that, right? You can create personas on ChatGPT, and then you can create agents, etc. So one of the things that you have to put in the persona is always challenge what I'm saying. Always give me a risk scenario. Because typically these algorithms that you would have seen, right? Something doesn't work, and it'll say, yeah, great, it's not working. So they always positively reinforce. That's the way the algorithms are. So you have to force it to think differently. Force it to say no. Force it to give a different perspective, right? So that's about working with others. But in the professional domain, what are we all doing? We are getting things done, right? I said developing yourself, working with others, and getting things done. How do you get things done? I have the 6 Ds of execution. Drive for results. Now you're getting a diploma and a degree, right? But what you will really need to succeed is a PhD. And I'm not talking about a doctorate here. Passion, hunger, and discipline. Passion, hunger, and discipline. And passion is that fire in the belly. How do you bring your best self to work every day? Which means you have to bring your head, your hand, but most importantly, your heart to the job. Head and the hand will come, otherwise you won't survive. But the heart needs to come. And that's why for companies, how do you connect the organization's ethos to the heart of the employee is where a good culture starts, right? And I'm very happy to say that PepsiCo has that. People will stay even if the salary is less, if you're able to do that, right? So how do you bring your best self to work? Decision making. That's going to be very, very important. If you think 100% data chahiye for everything, I'll tell you it's a complete myth. As a leader, the worst leaders are the ones who can't decide. They sit on the fence. And good leaders are able to take decision with a combination of data. Of course, you need to be data-based, right? Fact-based. But also the courage of conviction and putting your responsibility and self on the line. So don't be a fence sitter. You have to take decisions. No decision is the worst decision. A decision which fails is okay. Many decisions will fail, right? And that's the job of leaders. Discipline. I talked about discipline. I went to a boarding school. I can tell you, that's where, those are life skills I learned which will stay with me forever, And in today's world, where earlier we had no knowledge, now we have too much knowledge and too much information. How you consume media, how do you consume information is a problem. What do you watch? You have 24 hours in a day. You need to sleep. You need to do your other stuff, right? It's too much, right? So conditioning of the mind. And this is where I think leadership and management also links back with our good old, philosophy of how do you condition the mind? Imagine how much time you can spend without your phone. Okay? Impossible, right? So how do you create a mind which, again, back to that learning agility, which is focused? Because you will need focus. How do you choose the select few? And the last thing that I will talk about is this aspect of delegation, because you cannot do it alone. And I have seen, and a lot of my life over the last, let's say, 10 years, 15 years, has been more like a coach, more like a, somebody who's standing outside and is helping shape what's happening on the field. And maybe not now, but 10 years down the line, you will be in that position. And the urge is to jump into it and then do it yourself. But you have to create winning teams, because winning in the corporate world is not about your own individual brilliance. Your job as a leader is not to get the best out of you. It is to get the best out of others. It's to get the best out of. So inspiration plays a big part in success. And ultimately, Sachin scores the century. I'm taking a cricket example, and India loses the game. Guess what? Is that great? Maybe great for Sachin's fans, but we lost the game, right? So in the corporate world, that's what happens. It's not about individuals, it's not about functions. So I represent finance, but it's not about finance doing well or marketing, right? Marketing doing well. At the end of the day, if you don't deliver business results, then the team loses, right? So it's very important to get the best team and a very diverse team and people who can challenge you. And the last D is about doing it the right way. I talked about integrity, so I'm not going to drain that. So I'll stop here. And it's really a privilege and an honor to be here. And, I don't like the title chief guest, but thank you very much for the honor. It's a really, really humbling experience. And I'm very passionate about talking to students. After 30 years, I see there is a big, there is a role that people like us who spent a long time in industry can come back and share our stories with you all, right? And which will give you a perspective. It's a little bit like if I were to tell myself 30 years back what works, my version, earlier avatar, when I was starting, I would want that, right? So, great opportunity and great. I wish all of you an amazing journey ahead. Stay in touch. All the best. And as Shubhrata Bakshi says, go fly your kite and take India forward, right?
Thank you so much, sir, for that insightful address. Your words have given us new directions of thought, and I'm sure they'll stay with us for many years to come. We would now like to invite Professor Nalini ma'am on stage to felicitate our guests of honor. I would like to invite Sri Venkat Enchalasani sir on stage as well, and Sri Kaushik Mitra sir on stage as well. Firstly, I would like to invite Professor Nalini Tripathi ma'am to present the memento to Sri Venkat Enchalasani sir. Next, I will invite ma'am to please present the memento to Sri Kaushik Mitra ji. As we come to the close of this morning's proceedings, we welcome our Chairperson of Student Affairs, Professor Vanita Srivastava ma'am, to deliver the vote of thanks.
Good morning and namaste to everybody. I'm pretty sure all my students here sitting in the hall agree to that we won't be having a better start than this of this particular event, right? All of you? Yes. So on behalf of everybody who's attending this event and all of the people on the ground, I stand here to appreciate the efforts of people and the time that you all took to come together with us and then share your journeys and experiences. I'm pretty sure it has influenced all of us for sure. So we'll begin with my gratitude to Mr. Kaushik Mitra, our chief guest for the day. And so thank you so much for bringing the human touch to the discussion today, the leadership lessons, the things about character, humility, resilience that you talked about. I'm pretty sure we all did relate to that. And definitely the balancing part of it too. So it's also my personal takeaway. Thank you so much, sir. I'll further extend my gratitude though Dr. Michael Debapatra sir has left, but yes, his insights that he talked about and where do we stand today and what all opportunities lie, I think we all will have a lot of ideas further to take it to the classrooms and then our practices in the future too. Sir, our guest of honor, Mr. Venkat Enchalasani sir. Sir, your role as a policymaker and the mission about mutual funds that you have highlighted, I'm pretty sure whatever field they specialize in tomorrow, they'll be taking that kind of initiative further to change the trajectory altogether in the future. I'll further extend my gratitude to our BOG member, Mr. Atul Kulkarni, sir. In a very brief time, he kind of established our role as the leader of the development for this global South altogether. So yes, I mean, thankful to him to find some time for us also here. Next, and the major role that my director over here, our beloved Professor Nalini Prabha Tripathi, has played in, I mean, thanks is a very small word when I have to enumerate what she has contributed to this event for throughout the planning. And if it has happened today, one of the key roles has been played by Madam. So thank you so much, ma'am, for your support and guidance. I'll be highlighting the role of the 40 industry leader guests that are supposed to be engaging with us over this 2 days discussion. And they have taken their time out from every busy schedule they all have. And I'm pretty sure all of our students are looking forward to attend the sessions, and grateful for all of you for being over here. My faculty colleagues, we all stand together as a team. So on behalf of the student affair team as well as students over here, I thank you all for contributing, be it the role of a moderator or guiding us throughout this planning of the event altogether. So thank you, everybody. I'll also extend my gratitude to the team of officer and staffs, which was led primarily by Mr. Mulvin and supported by Mr. Larry and Romeo from my Office of Student Affairs. Thank you so much for you people. I mean, it wouldn't have been possible. Additionally, we have our IT services, housekeeping, and the PR office supporting this event even before it was kind of conceptualized. So thank you so much, everybody. Last but not the least, the heroes of my show, my student council member and the office bearers of various clubs and committees. Due to the paucity of time, I'm not taking the names, but it was culmination of everybody coming together and making this day happen. So just you can applause yourself, everybody. Thank you. Additionally, we have got some sponsorship from the State Bank of India and IOCL, so I extend my gratitude on behalf of my institute to these two bodies as well. And wonderful audience, thank you for being here and attending to the sessions, and please engage in the further discussions throughout the day and tomorrow as well. Thank you, everybody. Kublai Shibun.
Thank you so much, ma'am. With this, we officially conclude the inaugural ceremony for the Business Leadership Summit. We request everyone gathered here to please rise for the national anthem.
Jana Mana Adhinayaka Jaya He Bharata Bhagya Vidhata Punjab Sindhu Gujarat Maratha Dravida Uttara Vanga Vindhya Himachala Yamuna Ganga Uchchala Jaladhi Taranga Tava Shubha Name Jage Tava Shubha Ashish Mange Gahe Tava Jaya Gatha Jana Gana Mangala Dayaka Jaya He Bharat Bhagya Vidhata Jaya He Jaya He Jaya He Jaya 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 He.
Thank you, everyone. Students, please remain seated for the next panel. Ma'am, we'll conclude. Yeah. Thank you, and we wish you a stimulating and enriching summit. मैं करने का